are pleased that with this ribbon cutting and rebranding, we are celebrating the creation and preservation of 177 affordable housing units here in the city of Rockville. Yeah. So you may or may not know that the average one-bedroom rent in Rockville is reaching $1,900 a month. And rents keep rising, not just here, but across the country. And that's just really not an attainable rent for people to be able to live. We understand that the accessibility of housing to the average citizen is critical to maintaining a stable economy, as well as supporting a diverse community. This event would not be possible without the participation and support of all of our community partners that are here today, whose flags are generously displayed. And please, when you leave, feel free to take your sign with you as a momentum. We also know that this would not be possible without the use of Montgomery County's right of first refusal. We are super excited to be able to use that utility to be able to purchase multifamily units so that we can maintain local control and ensure affordability for the long term. Rockville Housing Enterprises' mission is to create and preserve affordable housing for the citizens of the city of Rockville, which is critical to a working city for all of its citizens. The story of Parkside Landing began in 2012 when RHE board member Ed Duffy noticed on Facebook that the apartment was up for sale. He took it back to the RHE board members, who at the time included himself, Ed Duffy, Mr. Stephen Marr, Miss Virginia Onley, who's sitting over there, the late Mr. Henry Battle. For anyone who knew Mr. Battle, he was a dynamo in the community. And they worked together. They rallied the city council. They rallied the county executives and those at DCHD to make sure that RHE was able to purchase this community. And with the support of the City of Rockville, Montgomery County, the state of Maryland, our development partner, the Hampstead Company, and all of our other partners, we have been able to make this day happen. So, when we originally purchased Fireside Park Apartments, it was the plan to engage in a refinance and rehabilitation with the use of the low-income housing tax credit program. We partnered with Ray Nix of Nix Defco and Patrick Harper of the Hampstead Companies and began our refinance journey in 2016. A little bit into the journey, tragedy struck. Fire occurred, destroyed 3 buildings and 32 units, displaced a number of families. Through the support of our local community partners, the City of Rockville, the county, and everyone involved, we were able to rehouse our families and rehabilitate the units. And we were back on track. Then COVID. So this project has endured through many unexpected challenges. We were able to close the refinancing of the property in June 2020 in the height of the COVID. And we are here 2 years later completing the rehabilitation of the units. We are still tidying up our site work. You'll see retaining walls being put in on the back end of the site. But we are super excited and incredibly proud of the progress that we have made. We are fortunate to have many of our partners here today, and we are excited to have them speak with us. This morning, I would like to welcome Mr. Marvin Turner, DC Field Office Director of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. And during our initial acquisition, HUD put in almost $200,000 to help us acquire and allowed us to have 4 deeply affordable ACC units that serve families below 30% of the AMI. Welcome, Mr. Turner.
Thank you. All right. So I'm happy to bring greetings from Secretary Marsha Fudge and the entire team of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, as well as the Biden-Harris administration. It's great to see you, Director Anderson, and other great friends and leaders celebrating the, thank you. I'm not one of those people that say I don't need a mic. Celebrating the renovation, rehabilitation, modernization, and branding of Parkside Landing. I especially want to thank my team at HUD, including Christine Jenkins and James Brown, who is that masked man over there, right? Secretary Fudge was invited and asked me to send her regrets that she was unable to attend. However, I thought it was important to at least acknowledge her key priorities. Secretary Fudge is laser focused on making home ownership a reality for more Americans, and currently we insure about 7 million households in FHA insurance, strengthening the housing rights of all people, including the disadvantaged during appraisals for black families versus other families, eradicating the homeless crisis with nearly 600,000 persons homeless in our nation, and getting more people off the street and addressing the needs of public housing. Now, you and I all know, because we're here, that housing is at the intersection of almost everything. It's at the base of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's where we build community. It's how we build wealth, how we maintain families. Unfortunately, a person's housing or lack thereof is a determinant of where they go in terms of their kids' schooling, in terms of whether or not they're food insecure, whether they get the right medical care, and it's across the board. HUD programs, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, serve as a safety net in terms of crisis and uncertainty. Since the Great Recession, since COVID, we have refined our tools to address these emergencies. I'm more than pleased with Rockville Housing Enterprises and under the direction and leadership of Director Anderson. Nationally, more than 2 million persons across our country live in public housing. Families, seniors, persons with disabilities. It is never lost on Secretary Fudge that when we talk about the physical conditions of housing, we're talking about people's homes, the places their children grow up, and that is why what we do here today is so important. Now, you'll hear a little later on that it's not just the $200,000, but you'll hear a little bit later on about the 221D4 insurance program. This program helps financial institutions finance market rate or affordable properties with high leverage, non-recourse, fixed rate multifamily construction loans. The high loan-to-value ratio means that developers can get a larger loan with less money down, and the fixed rate guarantees greater financial stability. For this property, that means we were able to insure approximately $42 million to preserve housing affordability. Year to date, in our region, the Mid-Atlantic region, we have completed 114 transactions, providing over $2 billion in FHA insurance in the Mid-Atlantic region, and providing nearly $1.4 billion year to date in housing assistance to families in need that are not in public housing, but are in apartment buildings. Those include seniors and the disabled. So in conclusion, we We need to be focused on the fact that our goal is to make certain that every person in this country, not just here, has safe, decent, and affordable housing. And how we get to that point, we know it's going to take a while. We're not even going to try to pretend that this can be done overnight. But the one thing we're going to do is make that effort. And with your help, we will make it. So thank you for your attention. May God continue to bless you all. And may God continue to bless these United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. It's always a pleasure when Marvin Turner comes and speaks at your event. We were lucky to have he and the Director of Public and Indian Housing, Ms. Christine Jenkins, to join us a few months ago when we were awarded a radon mitigation grant for our other development at the David Skull Apartments. So we are excited about that. And I want to especially thank my HUD team, without which this would not be possible because we had to go through lots of approvals with them. And James Brown is here, and he is my go-to person at the field office. He makes sure all of my requests get heard and processed. And Ms. Jenkins, we are just so super excited for you guys to be here. And thank you for your support. And I'll be coming back for more requests soon. Stay tuned. We are also incredibly honored to have with us County Executive Mark Elridge. Again, we can't do this without the use of Montgomery County's right of first refusal. And so thank you, and we welcome you to speak.
Thank you. I love the right of first refusal law, but we're also going to work to strengthen the right of first refusal in the county because it doesn't have all the bells and whistles that it needs to fully protect properties. We want to make sure we can fully take advantage of the law. And I'm anxious to talk with Secretary Fudge and you because we need to look at ownership. I was just talking to the gentleman from the state there. You know, we have money for rental properties preservation. We can build rental properties, but if we're building wealth, we need to be able to build ownership properties. And the county's putting 18 lots, our parking lots, up on the market, and we're not going to charge for them. But we want those to be ownership properties for people in lower income ranges than we traditionally reach. So we need help, and it's really great to see you participate. I've heard you speak before. I heard Secretary Fudge speak before, and it's a breath of fresh air. So thank you. I want to tell you how happy I am to be here at the Parkside Landing. This is a really important project. I want to put it in a context of affordability. This county in 2000 had 45,000 naturally occurring affordable units. That would have been this apartment complex in 2000. By 2020, half of those units were lost. The county's down to 22,000. Park and Planning projects that we'll lose another 11,000 by 2030, leaving us with a whopping 11,000 naturally occurring affordable housing units in the county. That's not going to work. And for as much as we talk about our wonderful moderately priced dwelling unit program, very few people realize we only have 6,700 rental MPDUs left in the county. Everything built before 2002 has expired. The rest of the units that were built before 2005 will expire. So what we've got left are the units basically that are built after 2005. We don't get enough units. 6,700 units in a county of over 1 million people with the levels of poverty we have is frankly a joke. It is not a serious effort to address affordable housing, and we need to think about what we're doing differently. Or we shouldn't talk about it. Now, if you're not going to deal with it, don't talk about it. But if you're going to deal with it, be prepared to have to bite off some really difficult things. But I feel pretty committed to this, and I'm looking forward to what we're able to do together. I want to thank Jessica Anderson, who's the executive director. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I want to also, I've mentioned Marvin Turner. I also want to thank Owen McAvoy. because I've seen you at a number of different events, and it is, I will say, the governor has done a pretty good job of working with us. We all deal with limited funds, but we've been able to work with the state in getting funds for projects like this, and we have to keep doing more. They have the same limitations we do, so all of us have an obligation to figure out a way out of this box. I want you to know that when the county commits funds, sometimes it can take years before they actually get used. So somebody comes to us and say, we need this money. We make sure the money is available, but we don't actually put it out until it's ready to be used. So we commit our money. We're looking at committing all 160 million that we've been given. Almost all of it's locked up in projects that we've committed to. They'll get built out over the next couple of years, and this is the way it's always been. The use of funds always follows the appropriation of funds to the county, but we're going to continue to make sure those dollars get out. The county was able to provide critical lending support that helped protect tenants, and our loan of $5.3 million helped to preserve these 177 units. But 5.3 obviously is not the whole sole story here. A lot of other people put money and intention into this project to make it work, and I think I just want to acknowledge everybody who put together the resources, the development team, to put together a project that could actually work with the resources and provide this level of affordability to people. Not every development team will do that. So you were able to get a really good project, and you put together the right partnership. This thing is like it's a mile to Metro from here. It's easily accessible for people. It's close to the downtown. It's an important statement that you actually took the steps to preserve this property. So I want to thank you for it. I've driven by this and often wondered what the fate was going to be. And it's nice to see that the fate is that it got rehabbed and it's been preserved. And this is going to be long-term affordable housing. I want to thank the leadership of the city, all of you who are here today, and people who preceded you who had the foresight to see the value of doing this project and making the investments and making your staff available to make sure this project got done. Again, without you, it doesn't happen. And we know of jurisdictions where it's hard to do things. The fact that you've got multiple projects going on in Rockville is a real testament to the commitment of people here to get these projects done. So thank you for doing that. And our position, my position, is that we need to preserve the affordable housing that exists. We need to protect the communities from being displaced. We'll be introducing legislation that will require one-for-one replacement of affordable units when somebody knocks down a project, which they're doing in Bethesda, and they're giving us fewer units than were there before they knocked down these buildings. We have to put an end to that. We have to be sure that we start with replacement and that we go for future need, not just stop with replacement. We have to do those things. I'm going to be talking about rent stabilization because $1,900 in Rockville is simply not affordable. And if you go to Bethesda, we looked at all the units that were built after 2012 that are rental. If you've got an MPDU, make $75,000, you can get in, $80,000 you can get in. If you're making more than that, you cannot afford where the market rate units begin. Market rate one bedrooms are over $2,500, and market rate two bedrooms are around $4,000. And this is what our policies have wrought. A Bethesda that's going to be as segregated as Bethesda was before, because no one's going to be able to get in the door unless you're in a moderately priced dwelling unit. And that's the other thing. The moderately priced dwelling unit program began as a program, think about this, for teachers, firefighters, and police officers. That's how it was pitched to the community. Because in the 1970s, this county was 95% white and 5% everybody else. And the low-income workers were the teachers, the firefighters. This county has changed. And the population and the jobs in this county are way different than they were before. Our affordable housing program is still stuck at serving people basically between 60% of AMI, $60,000, and 75% of AMI. If you're under that, we do virtually next to nothing. And if you're over that and can't get into market, we do virtually next for nothing there. So we're going to be proposing that all of our housing projects expand to a broader range of affordability, serve more people, and require developers to provide a greater portion of their units as affordable. If we're going to talk about new development being urban and vertical, then you have to integrate vertically. You can't just integrate on the ground. You've got to be willing to demand integration in the vertical structures that are being built there. So we need to go into a new version of affordable housing. I'm really glad that we've had the opportunity to be here today, but I just want you to know that we're taking this seriously, and we're going to continue to take it seriously. We're going to need all your help to make these changes. If this is what you all believe in, then there are going to be fights to be had and discussions to be had to get us to the point we can do the things we say we actually want to do. So I look forward to working with all of you, and thank you.